And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds. As you might expect, they pile out of the dugout. They are jumping up and high-fiving.
The Cincinnati Reds had swept the World Series in 1990 in 4 games, miffing the team's owner because she wanted more games and more revenue. That owner was 63-year-old Marge Schott, a trust fund kid and Cincinnati native. She didn't throw a party for the team, who went out by themselves for burgers to celebrate. When Schott had first bought the Cincinnati Reds in 1983, it was losing money. But under her leadership, the Reds turned a $15 million annual profit by 1992. She was somewhat popular for keeping ticket and hot dog prices low during a period of recession, but she was also unpopular for her reputation behind the scenes and her cheapness with the players. Former employee Tim Sabo filed a failed lawsuit against Schott and the Reds, claiming that he had been fired in 1991 for testifying in a separate lawsuit that the company had an unwritten policy of not hiring black people. Charles Cal Levy, who once served as marketing director for the team, said in a deposition that he'd heard Schott call former players Eric Davis and Dave Parker million-dollar N-words. He also alleged that Schott had been anti-Semitic and showed him, a Jewish man, a Nazi swastika armband a former employer gave her as a gift. When Schott was asked about playing with Nazi dolls as a child and owning the swastika armband as a grown woman, she said, "Figures a Jewish guy would find it. Huh, honey? What's a Jewish guy looking through my drawers for anyway?" Schott admitted to calling her players N-words, saying, "Of course it's a demeaning word, but I know that blacks call it to each other, too. I've been in the business world for 24 years and never had any problem with discrimination." In the same interview, she was accused of calling MLK Day N-word Day. She said Hitler was good in the beginning, but he went too far, and she also said the J-word when referring to Asians multiple times, among other extremely racist things. Baseball legend Hank Aaron publicly called for her suspension, while the Anti-Defamation League said she had tainted and sullied baseball. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and others generated more press coverage that embarrassed Cincinnati boosters and baseball fans. Cincy's reputation for racism was known, and you may recall from I Love the 90s Christmas that this is where a chapter of the Klan received a city permit to erect a cross that got torn down by angry citizens. In the broader baseball world, some theorized that the Schott scandal would be a new watershed moment, like the 1987 firing of Dodgers executive Al Campanis for his racist remarks. A committee was formed to investigate the racism claims against Marge Schott and to determine if she should be fired. In February 1993, she was fined $250,000 and banned from anything not behind the scenes for the Cincinnati Reds until November. Said Schott, "In fairness to me, I wish to add that while I am not without blame in this matter, I am also not the cause of the problem. Minority issues have been present in baseball long before I came to the game." Here's local anchor Jerry Springer, yes, that Jerry Springer, who was Jewish, reporting on the scandal.
She'll get nothing more than a year's suspension, if that. The other baseball owners who will ultimately decide Marge's fate, since there's no commissioner, won't be too tough on her because the chances are their laundry on the issue of race is probably not much cleaner than hers. And if they try and boot her out of the game altogether, the inevitable lawsuit that will follow will open up their own personal behavior and race relations record, and that's a circus they undoubtedly want to avoid. So no, baseball won't go to the mat on this one. A slap on the wrist, a fine, and a year's suspension at most will be the price of Marge's racial insensitivity, nothing more.
Wrote the Oklahoman, Schott's behavior and remarks warrant a suspension under that huge umbrella known as the best interest of baseball. But to what degree? And is she alone? How many other racist owners are out there, and will they be equally punished? Is all this simply the owner's best chance to get rid of the major league's only female owner? In 1996, when ticket sales were falling and Schott had a 37% approval rating from citizens in Cincinnati, Sports Illustrated published an article by Rick Riley that exposed her alcoholism, lack of baseball knowledge, and severe loneliness from being a childless widow, in addition to her racist beliefs and her preference to not hire women of childbearing age. Some called the writing against her as a misogynistic cheap shot, meant to oust her from the male-dominated world of baseball. But Marge herself said, Some of the biggest problems in this city come from women wanting to leave the home to work. I don't really think baseball is a woman's place, honey. I really don't. I think it should be left to the boys. I also found it really hilarious that because her deceased husband had cheated on her back in the day, described Rick Riley, she has waged a one-woman war for fidelity. Her goal is to rid baseball of cutesy poos, as she calls them, the groupies who end up in ball players' hotel rooms. She says she has hired private investigators to videotape her players getting on and off buses and going in and out of hotels to make sure there is no cutesy pooing going on. Players even complained that she had been opening their mail. So in that same 1996 interview, she made a whole nother slew of racist comments that again pushed her behind the scenes at the Cincinnati Reds.
They saw it all coming, Fred. In fact, they were disturbed and embarrassed by the remarks that Schott made, but you touched on that bittersweet relationship those who wear a Cincinnati uniform have with their 67-year-old owner. They hold a certain degree of compassion for Schott, but understand baseball's need to take action against her.
She continues to do things that I think are viewed as irresponsible, and now she has to deal with the consequences. You know, nobody forced Marge to say what she said. No one has forced Marge to act the way she's acting.
She's not a bad person, you know. I've had some difficult times with her, but you know, I've learned to live, forget, you know, don't hold no grudges and stuff like that. That's why I'm back in this uniform.
The powers that be wanted her gone, and she was pressured to sell her controlling stake in the Reds. And she finally relented on April 20th, 1999, the same day of Columbine and Adolf Hitler's birthday.